Hi there. I'm here to do a review of trinomial factoring of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Or in other words, when it's a trinomial, but there's no coefficient in front of the x squared term. So before we get into that, though, I want to do just a quick review of FOIL so we can see where this is coming from. So if I have an expression like x plus 2 times x plus 3, and the instructions for a question like this might be expand and simplify. What I have to do is FOIL, first times first, outer, inner, and last. And so when I expand this out, I go x times x gives me x squared. X times 3 is positive 3x. 2 times x is positive 2x. And 2 times 3 is plus 6. And when I simplify, I gather my like terms, which are these two middle terms, and I say, okay, I've got x squared plus 5x plus 6. So now a factoring trinomial of this form might start with, okay, here's x squared plus 5x plus 6, and the instruction for this question would be factor. And in other words, go backwards and end up here, given that we're starting here. So how do we undo a FOIL? How do we work backwards? And the way I like to do it is I create a little chart off to the side called an SP chart, standing for sum and product. And I know that the two numbers that, what I'm looking for here is the two numbers that go in the brackets. And I know these two numbers have to add up to whatever is here because it comes from the 3x and the 2x adding together as like terms. And in this case, my sum is 5 and my product is 6. And that 6 comes from this number at the end, which came from 2 times 3. Sorry about the interruption there. Moving ahead, so our sum is 5x, our product is 6, and we're looking for these numbers 2 and 3. How do we find them? So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 6 but add to 5, and they are 2 and 3. And the nice thing about this type of factoring is, at this stage, it's really easy to get to our final answer. Our final answer is just make our two brackets, put an x in the front of each, and then just insert these numbers with their sign. So these are both positive, so it's plus 2 and plus 3. So let's look at a slightly tougher example. Let's take x squared minus 9x plus 20. So in this case, my sum and product are negative 9 for my sum and 1 times 20 or 20 for my product. And in this case, before I get started, I'm noticing my sum is negative, but my product is positive. So to get a product that's positive, I'm either multiplying a positive times a positive and getting a positive answer, or I'm multiplying a negative times a negative and getting a positive answer. In this case, since the sum is negative, I know I've got to have two negative numbers. So I say, what two numbers add up to negative 9, but multiply to give me positive 20? And if I think about it, I come up with negative 4 and negative 5. Just as a side note, if I'm ever stuck at this stage and I'm not coming up with these two numbers, I don't usually sit there and get stalled for too long. If I'm taking longer than about 20 seconds, what I'll do is I'll just quickly write out, how do I multiply and get 20? And I can go 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. So which of these, if they're all negatives, add up to 9? Oh, there's my set. So if I get stuck, just taking a second to write out these factors usually helps me find it fairly quickly. So now that I've got my two numbers, I go to my final answer, which is just bracket, bracket, throw an x in the front, and the first number is -4 and the second number is -5. And it doesn't matter which order I put them in because these two brackets, multiplication is commutative, so we can switch them around and always get the same answer. At this point, let me throw a couple curveballs at you. So let's kick this up a notch. What if we have one where we got like x squared minus 7xy minus 18 y squared. So in this one, it's like, what? We got y's in it too. And I'll show you how this works. This is a fairly common type of curveball that can be thrown into a factoring question. If we got another variable where we got squareds entering from the back, so it's x squared x and no x's, and it's no y's, a y, and y squared, it just means in our final bracket, we're gonna get an x and a y in our final brackets. X and a y. And the question is just, what are the numbers and their signs that go here and here? So let's take a look at this. In this case, I make my SP chart. And my sum is -7. And my product is -18. And I say, what two numbers add to -7 but multiply to -18? And the numbers are +2 and -9. So at this stage, my answer is x plus 2y and x minus 9y. Okay, and the last example I want to do at this stage is an example where we have to common factor first. So let's say we got 3x cubed minus 3, oops, that's x cubed, minus 3 x squared minus 60x. So in a question like this, I see, hey, I can common factor first. So first I common factor and I say, okay, 3, and I've got at least one x in each term, so 3x is my common factor. And when I do that, I'm left with x squared minus x and minus 20. So now I look to just factor what's in the brackets, and I create my SP chart. And my sum is -1, my product is -20. And I say, what two numbers add to -1 but multiply to give me -20? And I can come up with -5 and +4. Now, for my final answer, I just leave that 3x out front. And then I just create my two sets of brackets again. Drop my x in the front of each one. And put in my numbers -5 and +4. So I hope that you've benefited from this review of factoring of the form x squared plus bx plus c.